Hello kids, welcome to another episode of Scratch. I'm still your Scratch tutor, Ijoma. And today we're going to be looking at variables on simple maths. Okay, let's dive into it. A variable is like a box that can store information like numbers or words. You can create a variable, change it, and use it in your project. Okay? But before we continue, I'd like to do a mini project with you to show you how variable works and what it does, okay, and how you can use it to create a project. So we'll go to Scratch now and do it together. Okay. Alright, we're here. We go to our events, okay? But before we start, we need to create a variable. You click on our variables, okay? Then you come here. Can you see where my mouse is hovering? Make a variable. You click there. Then you type in score. Can you see that? Then you click on OK. Alright, so our score is right here under my variable block. Okay, so now let's go to events. And now look at our stage. You see there is already a score variable there, but it's 0 because we have not programmed it yet. Okay, now let's program it. You come to our events, you drag this block right here and you drop it in your script area. Okay, now we'll go to our variables. Okay, we look for set my variable to 0. When green flag is clicked, set my variable to 0. But we have my variable here, but what we have here is score, and we have already created a variable named score. So you click on this arrow down right here and you change it to score. Can you see that? Alright, now we'll go to our events, okay, and then you look for when this sprite is clicked. We drag it and we drop it separately, okay, because this type of block you cannot join it to another one because there is no space where you can join it on top. You can only join other blocks to it under. Alright, now when this sprite is clicked, what do you want to do for it? You come to your variables again and then you say change my variable by 1. But now we're going to change it again to score because we're using score, not my variable. Okay, change it. Change score by 1. Okay, now we'll go to our looks and we'll look for our say hello for 2 seconds. Okay, we'll drag it and we'll drop it right here. But now we don't want hello to be here, so we're going to delete the hello and we type in what we want to be there. So what we want to be there is you clicked me. You clicked me. Clicked me. Can you see that? You clicked me. Okay, that's what we want our sprite to say once we click on it. Now our project is ready. Let's click on the green flag. Can you see? Now I've clicked on the green flag. Now let's click on the sprite to see. You see that? I clicked on the sprite and it added 1 score to my score. Can you see? You see, it added another score, making it 2 scores. Okay, and it also said you clicked me just as I programmed it to be. Alright, so this is how variable works. Okay, you program it to do what you want it to do, like you can use it to create your games. Okay, and you keep track of your scores. Okay, so now we'll go back to our slide to see the next thing we have there. As you can see, here are the steps that we just took now. Okay, and this is the projects we created. Now let's move to the next thing. So the next thing we have here is the activities we are going to do today, because the first project that we just did now is just to show you how variable works, which I believe you have understand by now. So In today's activities, we'll be using variables and operators to create interactive projects that track things like timer and scores. Okay, so now you may want to know what a variable timer is in Scratch. Okay, so what is a variable timer in Scratch? A variable timer in Scratch is a timer you create using a variable instead of the built-in timer block, because we also have a built-in timer block in our Scratch. Okay, you can find it in the block palette. All right, but I'm going to introduce that to you, but not now. Okay, it lets you control time in your project according to how you program it. So the next thing on our slide is, tada, we're going to create a project. Okay, now we're going to create a project called Stopwatch. You know your normal stopwatch. You can use it to time yourself when you're doing something, to know how much time you spent. Let's say you want to study, you can on your stopwatch to know how many times it takes to study. Okay, or if you want to eat, or even if you want to play, to know the amount of time you consume while playing or while doing that particular thing. You can use your stopwatch to track it. So now, in this project, we are going to create a stopwatch. Okay, we'll be using 3 different sprites for this project and a backdrop. All right, now we're going to look at the steps we'll be taking. Okay, so this is how our project will look like by the time we are done. We're going to draw a sprite. We'll draw a sprite by ourselves. We're not going to use the built-in sprite. Though we're going to use the built-in sprite, but we're going to use 2 buttons. But the big one, the big blue one right there, we're going to draw it by ourselves. Okay, now let's go to the next slide. Okay, the next slide, this is step 1. On this slide, you're going to click on your brush. This time around, you're not clicking on your normal sprite icon. You click there, but then you're going to choose your paint brush, just as you can see here. Then the second step we'll be taking is to go to this area where you can draw. Okay, then we'll use the tools right here to get this particular shape here. And the next step we'll be taking is to go to our sprite area to choose a button. The next one, we'll choose another button, but here we're going to change the costume of the button, because this particular button has 2 costumes. It has the color blue and the color orange. Okay, here's the color orange. You switch the costumes. I'm going to show you how to do that. And then you type in stop your button, and then you type in start. So we have a start and a stop button in our project. All right, so we're going to code for, firstly we code for our sprite 1. The sprite 1 is the one we made by ourselves. Okay, then the steps we're going to take is, we're going to use the first block here is when I receive a message. Okay, then the next block we'll be using is set seconds to 0, which we can get in our variables. The third block we'll be using is set seconds to 0 again. We're going to use it 2 times, 1 for seconds and 1 for minutes. Remember, we're working on time, right? So the fourth step we'll be using here is our forever loop. Then the fifth step we'll be using here is our wait for 1 second block. Okay, then the sixth step we'll be taking is change seconds by 1. All right, then the 7th step we'll be taking is the if then loop. We use the if then loop. And the next step we're taking is to go to our operators, and we choose this particular block right here. Okay, and we're going to place it in that tiny space in the if then loop. All right, I'm going to show you how to do that, so keep watching. Then the 9th step we'll be taking is we'll go and get our seconds block, and we'll drag it and we'll drop it there in the operators block that we picked. Okay, so the next step we're going to take is our set seconds to 0, which we are going to put inside our forever loop. All right, so the next step we'll be taking is change minutes by 1. All right, we're going to set seconds by 0, and then we'll change minutes by 1. The next step we'll be taking is when I receive a message. Okay, then the 13th step, because I think this project have 13 codes, right? The 13th code is the stop all. All right. After which we are going to code for our button 2. We have button and we have button 3 right here. We have button 2 and button 3. So we code for button 2, which is the start button. Okay, the code we are going to add there is when this byte is clicked, and the second block we'll be using there is broadcast start. Okay, then we'll code for button 3. These two buttons doesn't have much codes there. Just like the sprite 1. The sprite 1 have the major code. Okay, so this one is when the sprite is clicked. That's the first block we're going to use, and the second one is broadcast start. Okay, that's okay. This one is broadcast stop. We're going to change it when you drag and drop it in the script area. All right, and after that you have your project ready. So right now we'll be going to Scratch to go and do it together. All right, so come with me. Let's go to Scratch. Here is our first project. You can choose to save it. I've already show you how you can save your project in your computer. You click here, save to your computer when you want to save. So for me, I'm going straight to create a new project. All right. Now in this project, we'll not be needing our default art, so we're going to delete it out of our project. Okay. Now we'll go to click on our sprite icon. Now I'm not going to choose a sprite from the sprite library, just as I've told you. Now we'll click on this brush. See where my mouse is over? You click on it and then it takes us here. Okay, now I'm going to use this tool to get what we want. Now you click on your circle shape. You see that? And then you press down your left arrow, your left area. Can you see what I'm doing? Then you get an oval shape, just as you can see me doing. Now you need to change the color. Okay, you need it to have a double color. Okay, so if you want it to have two colors, can you see where my mouse is hovering? You click here. The second one, you click on it. The first one is to make your drawing have one single color. Then the second one is to make it have two, left and right. And the third one to make it have two color. Another shade on the upper side, and then another shade of color on the down part. Okay. Then here, if you want it to have two different shades of color in the middle and then the outer part of it. So now we're going to click on this second one because that's what we want. Now we've gotten the color we want. Okay. Okay. Can you see that? That's it. We drop. And now we're going to click on this our circle again. We go back and we get a black color. Our black color is right here. Click on it. Okay. But we need to change this to be one shade of color because it's still on the way we changed it to be. Click on the first one to get it back. Now we're going to draw two circles to get the dots, as you can see in our slide. All right, can you see that? Now we're going to draw the second one. All right, that's the second one. I think the second one is bigger than the first one, so now we're going to adjust. Just I think it got bigger, so adjust it a little. That's it. I think this is okay. This is okay. All right, so now let's go to our code. Now we can do it this. Go to our backdrop and let's choose a backdrop that I'll be using. We choose circles. Okay, let's see circles. Now this our drawing is not in the middle of our project, of our stage, so let's get it to the middle of our stage. I think it's okay now. Now let's go to sprite again. Our sprite area this time around. Now we're not going to paint. You click on it and then we search for button. Okay, let's go to our search bar type in button 2. Button 2. All right, our button is right here. Okay, you drag it and you drop it in. Can you see that? All right, now we'll go back to our sprite library and we'll look for that button again, because we need 2 buttons, right? Buttons, oh, it's right here, but this time around, see our second button. Drag it and drop it here. Okay, okay, it's balanced now. It's balanced now. Now we click on this 3rd button and we click on costumes. Can you see where I'm hovering my mouse? Click on costumes. Okay, and then you see the 2 costumes here. This is the blue and this is the red. We don't want it to be blue color, so we are going to click on this. Now our button have changed. Okay, this is how you can change your costumes. With different sprites, you click on the costumes and you change it to the particular costume you want to use at that particular time. Okay, so that's it. Now we click on the 2nd button. We go back to our costumes because we need to type in something in our button. Okay, now you click on T. This T is text. Okay, type it. You click here. Can you see that? You click here. All right, now we're going to type in start. Let's type it in. Start. Well, let's do it in capital letter. Start. That makes sense. Okay, start. Now we have to resize it and make it look good. Have to make it look good. Okay, more like it. Now let's go back to our code and do the same for the 2nd button. Click on the 2nd button and we'll go back to our costumes. We'll click on text again. Click right inside the button. Can you see that? And now we're going to type in stop, because that's going to be our stop button. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay, now you choose to click on your select, and then we need to modify it and make it look good. Okay, just like we did to the start button. Can you see that? All right, now I think it's time to code. Firstly, we are coding for our sprite 1, so let's click on sprite 1, because if you don't click on sprite 1 and you're coding for sprite 1, that means the code will be going to button 3. So you have to click on the particular sprite that you want to code for. You go to your sprite area right here and you click on the particular sprite you want to code for. Okay, so now we'll begin. Okay, click on events and you choose, no, before we start, let's go to our variables and create variables. We need to create variables, right? Okay, so you click here. Can you see that? Yes, here's our variables, right? Then we'll come here. You remember how I show you how you can create a variable? Click on make a variable, and here we type in our minutes. Minutes, right? I want it to be in small letter. Minutes. Okay, we'll click OK. All right, now you go back to make a variable. Click on it again. You need to create a variable named score. Named seconds. We created for minutes because we are working for minutes and seconds. We're still talking about time, so don't forget that. Have that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to type in seconds. Can you see? Seconds. Now we have minutes and seconds variable. All right, now let's start coding. But here we don't want our variable to display this way. Okay, don't want it to display like this. You can leave it to display like this when you're creating a game. Okay, or animation, or when you are doing other project. But for this particular project, we're going to change the look. So you click on it, you click on minutes, you right click on it, then you get this option. You get the normal readout, the large readout, the slider, and the hide. I don't want to hide it. I don't want to use the slider option. Now I'm going to click on large readout, okay? Because it's on normal readouts now. This is normal readout. So now we're going to click on large readout. You click on it. Can you see what happened? You drag it. This is our minutes, right? We want our minute to be by the left. You drop it there, okay? Then we'll go back to our seconds and we do the same thing as we did with the minutes. You right click, then you choose your large readout. Click on it. Can you see that? Then you drag and you drop. We want our seconds to be at the left side, at the right side, I mean, because we already placed our minutes in our left side, okay? That's it. All right, now we're ready to code. We are ready to code. And we're going to choose when I receive a message. When I receive a message, what do we want to happen? Once we receive a message, we want our variables to go to set minutes to 0, okay? Then we'll change it to seconds. We want it to be seconds. The first one will be set seconds to 0, okay? Then we'll get that same block again. I'll place it under the first one. And you click the down arrow to change it. Now we're going, oh, we don't need to change it, it's already on minutes. Can you see? It's already on minutes, so we don't need to change it. Now we'll go to our controls and we get our forever loop. Forever loop to make our project keep running forever, as ever, as we want, okay? So now we're going to get our wait block. We go to our controls again and we get our wait block, okay? Our wait block, and we're going to change it to 0.1 seconds. 0.1 seconds, okay? Now we get our change. We go to our variables and we get our change. I'm going to change it to seconds. Change seconds by 1. Okay, we want it to wait for 0.1 seconds and then it changes our seconds by 1. Okay, the next block we're going to use here is our if then loop. Go to our controls and we get our if then loop. You drag it and you drop it inside your forever loop as I'm doing. You see that? Now we'll go to our operators, okay, and then we'll pick this particular block equals to 50. We have the less than, we have the greater than, and have the equals to 50. For this project, we're using the equals to 50, so you click on it, you drag and you drop it here. Can you see this space? This space, you see it's dimming white. You see that? That is where you're dropping it. You drop it right there. Click then immediately, okay? So that's how Scratch is projected to be. It doesn't stress at all. So now we have done this. Now we're going to our variable. We get our seconds. This is a block, right? We get our seconds block. And we're going to drop it here. Can you see where I want to drop it? In this space before equals to 50. That is where we're dropping our seconds. So you drop it right in there. Okay? And now, how many seconds makes a minute? 60 seconds makes a minute, okay? So now we'll not be putting this 50 here. We'll remove this 50 and we'll change it to 60 because 60 seconds makes a minute. Alright? So we'll change it. When our seconds is equal to 60, then we want something to happen. Okay? Then set our seconds to 0. Place it inside the if then loop. Then you change this minute to seconds. Set our seconds to 0. Now you go to your variables again and you pick this change minutes by 1. You drag it and you drop it right under the set seconds block. still inside the then loop. Okay, just as I'm doing, drag it and you drop it right there. Can you see that? If seconds is equals to 60, then set seconds to 0 and then change minutes by 1. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is to click on our start button. We need to program it. All right, let's click on it. All right, let's program our start button. Then we'll go to our events. We're going to use when the sprite is clicked. All right, you drag and you drop it in your script area. Okay, then you go to still in our events, broadcast message. When the sprite is clicked, broadcast a message. Okay, now we're going to type in a message here, and the message we are going to create, can you see what I'm doing? New message. We're going to type in a start, is already there, but we need to type it in. A start message. Okay, broadcast start. All right, now we'll go to the next button and we'll program it as well. You drag the when sprite is clicked, you drop it right here, and then you do the same as you've done for the first button. Click on broadcast a message, but this time around we are going to change it to the first button. We program it to be start, so this one is going to be stop. Okay, type in stop. All right, so click on OK. That's it. Then now we'll go back to our sprite 1 and we change this our message to start. Okay, when I receive start message, can you see? When I receive start, okay, then it will now start performing all these actions. All right, now when I receive, can you see? You keep it here, you drop it right beside the first blocks. When I receive a stop, we have already programmed for start, so let's program for stop as well. When I receive stop, okay, you want something to happen, right? When I receive a stop message, we go to our controls and we look for stop all. No way. We look for stop all. We drag and we drop it under here. You see that when I receive a stop message, stop all. Can you see? Now let's see. You see, because we didn't program it to be our green flag, we didn't use green flag, so I'm clicking on green flag and it's not working. Now for you to start this project, you're not going to click on your green flag. We didn't program it to green flag. Okay, you're going to click on your start to start your project, and you're going to click on stop to stop your project. Okay, when I click on start, can you see my stopwatch is working? Okay, it's now counting. You see, when it got to 60, it changed to 1, just as we programmed it to be. Okay, Scratch is all about programming. You program your blocks, okay, according to how you want it to perform or how you want it to come out. Okay, see, my timer is still reading. Now let me click on stop to see what happened. Can you see that? I clicked on stop and then our stopwatch stopped reading. All right, so you can also decide to view it on a bigger screen. You see that? So if I click on start again, it's going to start afresh. You see that? Can you see? You can create this timer, you use it at home. Okay, so whenever you want to time yourself while doing something, you can use it. You should be proud of yourself that you created a timer that you're making use of. So now you don't have to disturb mommy. Okay, now we are done with this particular project. You can go ahead and save it in your computer. Okay, come here, click save to my computer. You can use it, or you can go to Scratch. Okay, you can go to Scratch website. You know how to create your account. You go there and then you share it there with your friends. You can show your friends and your parents what you've done. Okay, now we're going back to our slide to do the next thing there. Now let's go to our slide. All right, this is our slide. Okay, this is the project we just created. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. Okay, now we are going into score variables. We just finished timer variables, you remember, right? Now we're going into score variables. So what is a score variable in Scratch? A score variable is like a point counter in your game. It keeps track of how many points the player earns while playing. All right, so now let's create a project called Math Quiz Game. So this is going to be our first game, right? In this project, the player will be asked math questions and their answers will be checked. Okay, we're going to program it. We're going to program it with questions and answers. So when our project comes to life, the person that is playing it, if they are correct, if they get the answer correct, our project is going to dictate it. And if they get it wrongly, our project is still going to dictate it. Okay? And after that, our project will still calculate your score for you and tell you how many you've earned. Alright? So this is so interesting. Now, let's see the steps we're going to take. The first step we'll be taking is to choose a sprite, of course. And the sprite we're going to use for this project is Sasha. Okay? So the next step, we're going to choose a backdrop. And the backdrop we're going to use is Chalkboard. Okay? Because we are talking about, we're dealing with maths. So Sasha is going to be our teacher. And the backdrop is going to complement our project. Okay? Now, let's see the block we're going to be using. So the first block we'll be using is when green flag is clicked. We're going to use when green flag is clicked for this particular project. Remember, the project we just finished, we didn't use when green flag is clicked. So for this one, we'll use it. So the next block we'll be using is set my variable to 0. Okay? The next block we'll be using is ask what's your name and wait. The next block we'll be using is the if-then loop. Not just if-then loop. You know, we have the if-then loop and we have the if-then-else loop. So for this project, we're going to be using the if-then-else loop. We have not used it before. So today we're going to use it and you see how it can be used. So the next block we'll be using is our equal to block. Okay, which we can get in our operators. Then the next code we'll be using is the answer. The next one we'll be using is play sound. Ta-da! Until done. The next one we'll be using is change my variable by 1. The next code we have here is say hello for 2 seconds. The next block we're going to be using is another say hello for 2 seconds. But here it's not going to say hello. We're going to program it and type in what we want it to say. Okay? So the next block we'll be using is this play sound bonk until done. The next block we're going to be using is the say block. The next block we're going to be using is the join apple banana block. Okay, but it's not going to be apple and banana that will be in our project. We're going to type in what we want to be there. You see that's when we'll start programming. Okay, so the next block we'll be using is the score block, which is going to be a variable we are going to create by ourselves. All right, so the next step we'll be using is to duplicate. So when we are done projecting the first one, we don't have to go back and forth again, dragging block and dropping. So we're going to duplicate it. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do that. Keep watching. Okay, so that's it. And after that, our project will be set, and this is what our project will look like by the time we are done. Okay, now we're going to Scratch together. Let's go and do it together in Scratch. Okay, All right, now let's create a new project. We have already saved our project. Let's create a new one. Okay, see that? All right, now we are not going to use our cat, so let's delete the cat. All right, and then we click on our sprite icon to choose Sasha. We go to people to get people. Okay, and then we'll scroll. Let's scroll. Where is Sasha? Sasha is right here. Click on Sasha, and Sasha is here on our stage waiting for us. Okay, now let's go to our backdrop library and look for chalkboard. Is right here, so you don't need to scroll down again. Click on it, and our chalkboard is right here on our stage. Now our project is making sense. Let's take Sasha to should we take him to the right or to the left? I think we should place him here. This will be better. Okay, now we want to do something with this our backdrop, right? So we're going to click on our backdrop and we'll click on backdrops. Can you see backdrops here? You click on it. Voila, here is our backdrop, right? So we need to type in something there, right? We go to text, but firstly this is a blackboard and we have color black here, so we're going to change the color. We want to type with white. We want our text to be white, right? Okay, so you click on white color. All right, that's it. Then now you can click on text, then you click right there. Okay, now we can now write. Let's type in maths quiz, but we need to use a capital letter for it. Maths quiz. Maths quiz game. Okay, but let's type maths quiz first and work on it. Let's expand it to look bold. Make it look bold. And you see that. Voila. Okay, I think we should take it up a little bit. That's it, so we'll have space to type in something else. Now we're going to type in game. Click here. And then we type in game. Okay, then we'll click on our selector, right? Then we still do the same. We're going to make it, let's stretch it. Okay, and bring it down. No. Bring it down. I think that's it. And then this thing got shifted. Place it right here. And this right here. It's looking good now. Maths quiz game. Wonderful. Now let's go back to our code to go and start coding, right? I know you can't wait to see the codes. Now let's click on events. We drag when green flag is clicked and you drop it. We have not created our variables, so let's go and create our variables. You know how to create your variables already, right? So click on make a variable, and then we're going to type in score. Type in score there. Score. Can you see? It's right there. So for this game, remember I told you when you want to create a game, you're going to use the normal readout. So this is the normal readout. You're going to use it for this. Okay. So let's go back. Okay, you don't need to go back. Say when green flag is clicked, set my score to 0. Let's change my variable to score. Okay, set my score to 0. Can you see that? Then we'll go to our sensing blocks and we'll choose ask. The ask and wait block. You drop it here. Ask what's your name. That's what's here, right? But we don't want our project to go with that. So we're going to delete it and then we'll type in what we want. Ask what is 5 plus 5. Ask what is 5 plus 5 and you add a question mark to it. Ask what is 5 plus 5 and wait. Now we go to our controls and we pick our if then else block. Okay, you pick it and you drop it right here. Okay, and then we'll go to our operators and we pick our equal to, pick it, or equal to loss, or put it here. Now ask 5 plus 5 and wait. If answer is equal to, then now let's go and locate our answer block. Our answer block is in the sensing block palette. Okay, see our answer right here. You drag it and you drop it right here. Can you see where I'm dropping it? You drop it there. If answer is equal to 50, of course the answer cannot be equal to 50. 5 plus 5 is 10. So now we're deleting this 50 and we add our 10 right there. Can you see that? If answer is equal to 50, then play sound for us. We want it to play sound for us. Tadan. Okay, but there is no tadan here. We have only pop and we don't want pop for this project. So now we go to our tabs. Can you see? You click on sounds to take us to our sound library. You come right here. Can you see where my mouse is hovering? You click there and then we're here in our sound library. Now we type in tada because we have a lot of sounds here. So if you start looking for it, we may not find it on time. Okay, so can you hear that? So we are using the sound. Okay, now let's go to our code. We have already selected the tada sound, so it should be here. Now here is it. You click on tada. All right, now when you place the tada, you go to variables, right? And you want it to change your score by 1 because you got it correctly. Okay, when the answer is equal to 10, that is when the player gets the answer correctly, right? You want a tada sound and then you want the score to be changed by 1. Okay, you can also make your score to be 5. Maybe you want one of the answer to be equivalent to 5 marks, so you can choose to change it. But for me now, I'm using 1. All right, and then we want it to say something again. We want it to go to your loops block. Whoa, we've been coding for backdrop. That is why we can't find our loops block here. Okay, we're coding for backdrops. I'm not supposed to code for backdrops, right? So we'll click on Sasha. It's Sasha that we are coding for. So right about now, we are going to drop this and we come back to Sasha. It's Sasha that we are coding for. We didn't change it. So let's quickly get to where we are, right? Since we already have our variables there, so it's not going to take us much time, right? Okay, and we'll go to, what's the next block there? The axe. Yeah, we'll go to our sensing and we get our axe and we drop it and then we type in our what is 5 plus 5 with a question mark, right? Then we'll go to our loops. We get our if then else Okay, just as we did, as I explained to you to do. Go to our operators, drag this, and we drop it, just as we've done that before. We've gone through these steps, so you saw everything we did there, and then we'll change this to 10, right? Now we already have our sound there, so we don't need to go and start looking for the sounds again. So we change our pop to okay, it's no longer there, and we'll go back to our sounds, right? We go to our sounds, and then we look for, and then we'll pick it. That's it. Go to our codes. Then we'll change the pop to our tada, right? Now we want it to change our variable by 1, right? Change our score by 1. Okay, change my score by 1. All right, now we want it to say something. Okay, I think this is where we stopped, right? We want it to say something, so now we're going to drag this block, say hello for 2 seconds, and we drop it under our change score. Okay, still inside our if then loop. Now we don't want it to say hello, so we're going to delete the hello block, and we're going to type in correct. So it's going to scream correct when you get the answer correctly. That's why we're typing in correct here. Okay, going to say correct for 2 seconds after playing the tada sound, and then adding 1 score to your scores. All right, then else. So if they don't get the answer correctly, if the player fails the answer, we want something to happen as well, right? We want a sound to play, but this time around we're not using the tada sound. Let's go to our sounds. We drag the sound button block, and we drop it right inside the else space. Okay, just as I did. Now there is no, we're going to use bonk, the bonk sound. There is no bonk here, so just as we did for the first sound, we go back to our sounds and we go to the sound library, and then we'll type in bonk. Can you hear the bonk sound? So now we click on the bonk sound. All right, then let's go back to our code. It should be there because we have already selected it. Now we choose the bonk sound, and then we need it to say something. Okay, we want our project to say something when you fill the answer. So we're going to our loops block again, and we'll drag the say hello for 2 seconds block. We put it right here, and now we're going to delete the hello, and we're going to say incorrect. So when they fail the answer, when they get the answer correct wrongly, okay, it's going to say incorrect. All right, it's going to say incorrect. Try again. All right, try again. Incorrect. Try again for 2 seconds. All right, so now we're going to duplicate this instead of going back and forth. Remember I said I'm going to show you how to duplicate. Okay, so we're going to duplicate from this ask, because that's what we're going to change. We're only going to change the answer and the question. All right, you have already programmed everything here, so all you need to do is duplicate, and you place it under according to how many questions you want in your quiz. When you're creating your quiz, if you want your quiz to have 5 questions, if you want it to have 10 questions, if you want it to have 20 questions, you can just duplicate, and then you change your answer and your questions. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate. Okay, I come to this if then loop. I'm going to right click to get this option. Now you see the options here. We have the duplicate, the add comments, and the delete 8 blocks. Now I'm going to click on the duplicate, because that's what we want to do, right? We click on it. Now I've already duplicated. I'm going to keep it here. Now I want to duplicate the ask block, right? Now let me duplicate the ask block. I've already done that, so I'm going to place it here. And I'll take this one back to where it was and place it back exactly the way it was. Okay, not difficult, right? Then we're going to change something here. Now the first question is, what is 5 plus 5? Now let's do another thing. Let's say, what is 7 minus 2? Right? You can make your project more interesting, right? What is, it must not be only plus, you can mix it even times, you can use times, multiplication, addition. Okay, all right, and you add your question mark. What is 7 minus 5? Now we're going to change the answer for the first one, because the first one is 10, right? So the second one, the answer to our question is 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay, so we're going to add 5 there. So when the player gets it correct, or when the player gets it wrongly, our project is going to act the way we want it to, right? So now we're going to drop it right under, we're going to drop it right under the first loop. Can you see that our project is becoming longer? But you can keep scrolling. You can keep scrolling. Okay, you can keep scrolling like this. Whoa, where is it going off from? You can keep scrolling. Can you see? When I'm scrolling, it's going up. So when you don't have space at the down part again, you can scroll up to have enough space, just like I did. Now we're going to get our say block. Okay, now I'm setting only 2 questions. When you're doing your own, you can set up to 10, 20, how many you want. All right, but for me, I'm going to do only 2, because I'm teaching you, I'm showing you the steps you can take, which I've already done justice to here. Okay, now we're going to get our say hello block. Now we want to code for our final score. Okay, when the player is not answering all the questions, the final score, right? Now we are going to our operators, and we get our join block. We get to our join block. I'll place it on top of this hello. Can you see it? We place it on top of this hello, and now we are going to type in your score is okay. Right now we're going to our variables to get our score, because you are not going to type in a particular score here, because you don't know the score that the person may end up getting. The person may end up failing some and getting some. You may decide to add all the correct, let's say your quiz is a 10 over 10, you may decide to add 10, and your player may fail 5, and then you add 10, making your project not to correspond. Okay, so you're going to get the score block, and you place it right on top of that banana. Okay, just as I'm going to do. I hope you can see what I'm doing. You drag it and you drop it here. So when the project is over, when the quiz is over, is going to automatically calculate how many score the player have earned, and is going to display it to the player by saying your score is 10, your score is 5, or your score is how many the person have earned. Okay, now it's going to say your score is equals to score, how many score that is going to be here at the end of the day, right? Now let's play. Oh, click on the green flag, let's click on the red one. Now let's start. Okay, let me click. Can you see our quiz now? It said, what is 5 plus 5? Now I'm going to try to answer the first one correctly, and I'm going to try to answer the second one wrongly, so that you see the actions, different actions that we have programmed it today. Okay, now 5 plus 5, of course, is 10. All right. Whoa, it said correct with a down sound, and then it added 1 score to my scores. Okay, now the second question is, what is 7 minus 2? That's exactly what we programmed it to say, right? And 7 minus 2 is 5, but I want to fill it intentionally so that you see what will happen. Okay, now I'm going to put 4, which is wrong. Okay, putting 4 there. You see, it gave me the bonk sound that I failed it, and it said incorrect. Try again later. All right. And now, that's it. You see, can actually decide to yeah, let's expand our screen to get a better view. Okay, so I will always say click right here, then we'll type in our 10. You see that now? Correct. Second one is going to be 4. Incorrect. Try again later. You see, and it's already calculated my score for me. It said your score is 1. Okay, so when you are creating your own project, try to make it longer so it will be more interesting. Okay, make it up to 10 or 20 so that you have a bigger score. And you can decide to change your score. Maybe you make one question to be equivalent to 5. Okay, maybe make the score to be 5 instead of 1, please, so that you have a bigger score at the end of the day. All right, so let's go back to our variable and simple math slides, right, and see what next we have here. Voila, so this is the end of our class. Okay, see you in our next class. As I always say, Scratch is all about exploring and trying out new things. Okay, so all the things that you learned today, you can go and start doing practicals on your own. Use different backdrop, different sprites. Okay, try out new things, be creative, because Scratch is all about creativity. All right, think out of the box and create out something interesting. Okay, and you'll be proud of yourself and you'll be motivated to keep learning more. All right, so see you in our next class. Bye.